Before we get started, this entire video is criticism. At no point is this attacking, threatening, or scrutinizing the devs themselves as people. But with that being said, I have some issues with Contractors Exfilzone. Now, there's been a lot of positivity about this game based on the community, the devs' updates and interactions, and overall gameplay. However, I have some concerns I do have to bring up, and the first one being the trios bug. For those who don't know, you can get into a team of 3 and survive together within Contractors Exfilzone. However, there has been a lot of crashing left and right that doesn't allow players to load back into the raid if they disconnect. And more specifically, one of your friends will actually die in raid, losing not only their gear, but also wasting their time as well trying to load back into the raid because there's no system for that. Now, obviously, that's not a good thing in the slightest bit. However, I do know that the devs are talking about it and trying to find a fix because Lon, a great dev, by the way, and I suggest you go watch his stream. He's a dev who's working with Caveman Studios on Exfilzone and the original Contractors OG as well. And even he is experiencing this bug as well with some of his friends that he tries to play with. So I think they are acknowledging and they are working on it right now. And with the reputation we've seen so far with updates, it's been pretty consistent and I think it'll be solved soonish. And I hope so, because I would love to play with trios a lot more. Trios for me has been a really fun time. I play solo every so often, but trios has been kind of my go-to for the time being. But every time I get that bug, it really just makes me upset that I lost all of my gear when I got disconnected, and it's not my fault. And speaking of reputation, there is a catch to this entire game. Now, Caveman Studios has had a track record of making a game, then leaving it out to dry for about 3 to 6 months at a time. Now, mind you, it makes sense because they are a small studio in comparison to some other studios working in VR, and they're trying to find a game or genre game to stick to and make sure that the players also enjoy said genre or game. But when it comes down to it, there is still a record of the OG Contractors game, still considered early access for however long that game's been out, and Contractors Showdown not getting a new season after a while. This is leaving a lot of players kind of speculating on if they're going to continue on with Exfilzone or if they're going to drop it as well as Contractors Showdown and the OG Contractors. But I'm going to counteract my own point and say this, that they did update not only OG Contractors, but they also updated Contractors Showdown with this game mode. And to those who have Contractors Showdown, you will have Exfilzone free for an update. And to be honest with you, I think Contractors Exfilzone is an apology letter to the fans of Contractors Showdown because they want to hit a game where a lot of people play it and continue on playing it for a long period of time, but there's been some issues here and there, and you can go check this out in their blog post as well, talking about where they've been, what they're trying to do, and making sure that everyone is happy with not only OG Contractors, but also Contractors Showdown and Exfilzone. Besides that, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of happy that Battle Royale game's kind of dying. I'm not saying it was a bad game, but the genre itself, Battle Royales, way oversaturated. Long overdue for that game to die. I don't want it to die, but the genre itself, I feel like I can talk about that in another video. But I think Exfilzone is far better than Ghosts of Tabor. I'm just saying that straight up right now. The only thing Tabor has is more maps, and that's it. Now, before we get into my final thoughts, have you thought about what you're going to be drinking today? Well, let me help you out with my new affiliation with POGGERS. Now, the quick thing, if you want to try out POGGERS, they're basically a drink mix where you can put in powder into your water and get either energy, hydration, or sleep aid for your drink. Now, I do earn commission here, and if you use my code GOATEDSAUCE, you'll get 10% off at checkout for all the products you buy. Now, I'm going to say this real quickly. I'm going to give this entire product line a 4 out of 5 for me. Personally, I enjoy it, but there's a reason why it's not a 5 out of 5 and more of a 4 out of 5. The reason why is because they actually messed up with one of the mixes called the blue raspberry, and they mix up the coloring by accident with a little bit of the red beet juice with the blue spirulina. I don't know how to pronounce that. but I'm very appreciative that they're very straightforward and honest. The flavor of the product is actually phenomenal. I love the flavoring. It's more natural than most of the ingredients that you see on other products, and I appreciate the pricing as well. But if you want to reduce that pricing, again, you can use my code GOATEDSAUCE for 10% off at checkout, and I do earn commission from those who either use my code or my referral link in the description down below. And now back to the video. And the biggest and last thing I need to talk about with this game is optimization and accessibility issues. Now, this game is very optimized, don't get me wrong, and the accessibility there is pretty nice, but I think Caveman Studios can take it a step further. I think allowing players to adjust the rotation of the controllers before they start the game is nice. And I think, and this is for me, I think comfortability matters in VR because not everyone has the same style of grip or rotations on their hands that they're used to. And every game does have a different style of rotation and comfortability while holding some guns. Now, I'm not saying that the hand rotation right now is bad. It's actually perfectly fine. I just think the accessibility to be able to rotate your hands to a more comfortable position would allow more players to be much more accessible to playing a game like Contractors, Showdown, or Exfilzone. Second thing, I wish there was a way to identify if you're leaning in the game or not. I feel like the difficulty of it is that since you don't know you're leaning and you look down and your character automatically goes back to center, it's difficult to think if you're leaning around the corner or not. But I have a solution to this. You see that little health icon on the bottom left? Replace that with how far your character is leaning, or if your character is leaning left or right, it's all set. Make things totally easy for people to understand that they are leaning around the corner, and it'll make things a lot easier to allow players to understand that that mechanic is within the game. And the third thing, dynamic crouching. When I play Breachers VR, for example, the accessibility they add to the game is far better than what people already talk about with Breachers VR. Dynamic crouching allows for more positions and cover to use, while also allowing the players who sit down to still have some power for how much they are crouching. Instead of just being one setting of insta crouch or not, maybe add 3 or 4 different variations of crouching, or add in a percentage of how far the person is crouching. And one final thing I would love to see in this game, and this is something personal. I need gun mounting. There, I said it, okay? I need my guns to sit on the wall and reduce my recoil. Please, Lon, I'm begging. But before I go, I do want to say thank you to everyone who's watching my videos, and if you enjoy them, why not press that like button and also subscribe to the channel? It helps me to continue on making more content for you guys to enjoy. So that's it for me, everyone. Deuces, take care, everyone.